On this episode, we're going to talk about voicemails. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Quarter Show. We were talking about this earlier today. We thought we would talk about voicemails and how important that is, especially in 2021. Today, you get voicemail. You're making calls, you get voicemail. And that's a pretty consistent thing. So that tells you that you need to be great at voicemail. Number one, you got to be leaving voicemails, and number two, you need to be fantastic at voicemail. And there's a lot of people that, number one, you make calls. If you make 50 calls, you might hit 50 voicemails. A lot of salespeople out there are not going to leave any voicemails. You're going to make those calls, and you're not going to leave any voicemails. And number two, if you do leave voicemails, they're not any good. And I know because I get those phone calls sometimes, and the voicemails are not any good, right? They're really not interesting, and they're not worth calling back, and therefore they're not worth leaving. But if you don't leave them, you're not going to get any traction. So, what do? You need to make the calls. So we were talking about this earlier, and we'll probably maybe do a show on this itself, or maybe talk about this here. But we were talking about how sales people talk about, it's a numbers game. That's only 50%. It's a numbers game. It's quantity plus quality. Quality being the content, the context of what you say and how you say it and when you say it, who you say it to. That matters. So it is a numbers game. You can make the 50 calls, but you have to do the quality, and you better be very good. And so if you know in 2021 that you're going to hit voicemail for a lot of people, you can't go, well, people don't listen to voicemail. Not true. Number two, doesn't matter. And number three, it has to be great. So how do you make it great? You need to know who you're calling. You need to know what is the reason for your call. You need to make it relevant. You need to make it engaging. You need to make it conversational. So it has to get their attention. You have to differentiate. You have to be so good just on the voicemail that it impinges, it penetrates, and actually leaves an impact. And then from there, you can follow it up with an email, you can follow it up with text, you can connect on LinkedIn.
Yeah, and part of the thing is, I think the mistake a lot of folks make, even people who sound good on a voicemail, is their self-interest is what's guiding what they're saying on the voicemail. They're interested in, you can even. The thing is, there's a difference between, because you can ask someone to sign a contract on a voicemail. Hey, if this is something you feel like you'd like to move forward with, go ahead and initial off and we'll get started. That doesn't even have to be self-interested, but you have to gear everything to improve your quality toward not being self-interested, toward what can I do to actually communicate help to this person, even if it's a cold initial call, even if it's following up, even if it's asking for the sale, whatever it is, you need to steer away from self-interest and go towards your interest in them and what they're interested in, what they want to accomplish. And if you're so self-interested that you just want to close this deal, you just want this customer aboard, that you're not willing to do the work that's required between where they are actually at. And that takes confront. You have to confront, where is this prospect actually at in the sales cycle? Are they fully sold? If they were fully sold, wouldn't they have already signed off? Therefore, they're not fully sold, and you trying to conclude on the voicemail when they're not really at conclusion is just a self-interested thing.
Yeah. So tinker and problem solve it on your voicemails, and really put yourself in the shoes of the prospect, and really kind of work to leave an engaging voicemail. And here's what's not engaging. Hi, John. Mm-hmm. Robert calling from XYZ company. Trying to reach you, give me a call back, here's my number.
Throw in a few pieces of terminology too.
Maybe some little pieces of terminology.
So industry specific. Yeah.
That's terrible, right? So maybe take a second to write a pattern, right? Or script or whatever you want to call it, right? Frame it out. Write something that's fantastic. You don't need to read from a script. You don't need to read it line by line by line. You can kind of play with it a little bit. What do they call it when they go off script? Ad lib, right? You can ad lib a little bit and you don't want, but make it sound conversational, make it sound engaging, and tailor it to the person you're going to. And by the way, it's the same thing in email. Some people send an email, they send the initial pitch email, then, oh, I don't know if you saw my previous email. Oh, this is going to be the last one. You're assuming that people are going to go back to it. So, in other words, you're going to have to pitch every single time in a new unit at a time, every single time, and sometimes twist and turn the same pitch and redo. Don't think that they're going to go and look at your previous pitch or listen to your previous thing or no. So you might have to leave 13, 14 emails or leave 13, 14 voicemails or whatever along the same lines, all engaging, all fantastic, to finally get this person's attention. It might take that. But don't say, oh, I left you a voicemail before, did you hear it? Or, oh, I sent you an email, did you see that? And then this other thing. That doesn't work. I know, because I'm the buyer here. I'm the person that gets those things here, and I think they're terrible, right? And then I also interact with the B2B audience with some of the largest companies in the world, and I know what works and what doesn't.
I know you're probably busy, but
just skip it. Just skip it. Focus on solving a problem. Focus on what's relevant to them. Make it engaging. You're going to have to, in 2021, you're going to have to get very, very, very good at your voicemail game. And then also, if they pick up the phone, obviously you want to be great at that. And then all of those follow-up actions as well. The email, the text, the LinkedIn, the so on. And then you start from square one. You have to do it all over again, because you might have to do it 10, 15, 20 times. Yep. If you want the business, if you really want the sale, and if you're thinking, wow, 15 times, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Well, if you believe you have the best product or service, and if you believe that it's right for the company and you're going to go after that, then that's what it's going to take. It might not, but it probably will. And if you really believe in it and you're going to work to earn that sale, it could take a lot more than that. And every single time, you got to bring high energy. It's got to be original. It's got to be engaging. It's got to be contextual. And it's got to be good, and there's a lot of dismal voicemail out there. So I think be humble enough to sort of check yourself on it, and we always do. Even today, we were making a bunch of calls, and we'll, after the call, sometimes critique and kind of check ourselves, and if one voicemail is low energy, check ourselves on that. We're always self-critiquing and putting ourselves in the shoes of the person that just received the voicemail, and taking on the perspective of the buyer and thinking, that could have been better. Let's tighten it up. Let's do this. Let's do that. We're always wanting to make it better, and we don't always do. They're not always great, but we have to be aware that they're not great, and then we practice, and refine the craft and get a little bit better. So it takes work. It takes trench work. It takes digging. It takes doing the real work and putting in the 10,000 hours to get there. But I do think. I know it. I statistically know that it pays off.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, in terms of being successful, and it's a funny thing to even consider that repetition or needing to reach out a number of times is somehow like upsetting or a headache. It's like it doesn't even matter. The only thing that matters is the mission. And when you go into like even critique, I know we've all got an ego or whatever you want to call it or whatever that is, pride or something like that. But ultimately, the only thing that really matters is the mission, and the mission is servicing the client, having a client, making them happy, delivering properly, getting rewarded for it, and that's how you grow. That's how you get bigger. Anything short of that, like being wounded or something like that, is just keeping you from growing. That's all that is.
Yeah. So there you go. There's an idea for you. Hope that helps. We'll have more coming at you soon here. Thought we'd just do a quick little video on that topic. All right. Have a good one.